think I've got a stretched clutch cable in the oval, so we're going to replace that, talk about what those symptoms were about. So here's the background on this. I've got this, it's been sitting for about 8 years. And as I put it back to life, things start to argue with me. The clutch is chattering, so I kind of fixed the Bowden tube to fix that. But then I go to adjust up the clutch cable and the arm release spring, that broke on me. So then I replaced that. Still couldn't get it to adjust up. So I pull the motor back and the throwout bearing's hanging off. Both clips are missing. So I'll pull the motor, replace the clips, replace the throwout bearing. Spring had already been replaced. Let's see, axle boots and stuff while I'm in there. But put a new motor in it, new clutch, adjust it up. Pedal free play was fine. I didn't get to the first light before the clutch is misadjusted again. And it's chattering, can't hardly get it in gear. It won't fully disengage. It's like, what in the world? Because I just replaced everything except the cable. It's not broken, so I'm thinking it's stretched. The other possibility is the tube going through the tunnel is broken free, but I don't hear any noise or anything weird there, so I'm crossing my fingers it's just a stretched cable. But yeah, give me some weird symptoms. I just couldn't ever get the thing to adjust right. Everything would feel fine in the driveway, start to drive it, and it's out of adjustment again. So let's see what we find. All right, this is where we're starting. I haven't pulled a pedal assembly and a bug in many years. So that's what we're starting with. I think maybe I'll get the vacuum in here and clean that crap up first before we dig in. We've got two 17s, got to disconnect the cable there, the push rod for the brakes. And we got to jack it up first too. All right, we've got that cleaned up a little bit. Looks better. I won't bore you with all the other housekeeping items. Yeah, there we have it, injury number 1. Haven't got the car jacked up yet. I got this mystery drawer of stuff, and usually I've got some band-aids in here somewhere. Because this isn't the first time. Put a glove on, it just leaks everywhere, it gets on you. I'm gonna go get a band-aid. All right, some adhesive bandages. For the next time. Gonna get the tire off, adjust the clutch cable. You can join the chorus of Ryobi haters if you want. That's worked good for my 13 cars. I can put a camera here, but it doesn't mean I can get my hand or my face in here. There's the arm. See the spring I replaced already. And I've got 100 things in the way, but we're going to take that nut off and the lock nut and get the cable out. You can see me. Hello there. Got it stuffed up on a tripod way up in the car. Let's see if I can get my arms in here. You could simply pull the exhaust off and then pull the motor out for easier access, but I don't want to. Alright, that's an 11. It's 11 and a 14 on these old ones. And whichever way you look at it, fortunately, unfortunately, I just put these on yesterday. So they're not frozen up yet. Get that off. I need some vice grips. There we go. Through the magic of video editing, I have vice grips. We're just going to clamp onto this part of the cable, keep it from spinning. As I take off that nut. What I found is a stubby 14 works pretty well. Just find a nice comfortable spot and do this 1,000 times. Your wife will say, "Why do you have that weird muscle in your arm?" Now you know. It wouldn't be accurate if you didn't drop the wrench. It's just that easy. I always say Volkswagens are easy to work on. The only reason everybody knows that is because you have to work on them. Come on. Hey there. So now we get to wrestle out the pedal assembly. I did the throttle cable not too long ago. I've got to get this little cotter pin out. Little washer. Alright, that's just going to hang out for the time being. Put these little pieces in a place you're sure to lose them. That's one of my favorite little ratchets from Harbor Freight of all places, and it's the only one they don't make anymore. They make the longer versions. That's pretty crusty. It's probably been a minute since that was out. All right, on mine, this is a 57 Euro spec, if that makes any difference. I've got a cotter pin that holds the push pin for the push rod, and then I've got these adjustment bolts there that hold the end of the shaft here. So it looks like these need to come out. Germans loved their 14s back in the day for a few things. All right, let's do that. PP blaster. I'm gonna throw a little bit of that on there.
Let's soak for a second.
I'll take you on a little detour and show you. Wow. Underneath the car, that is the underside where these two adjustment bolts are. Oh, hold it steady, hold it steady. So I've got this big piece welded on here to reinforce it. And otherwise, these pans are pretty decent. All right, back to it. I do have an impact. All right, let's check it out. Magic. Looks like that's coming right off. There's our little crust factory. If few washers and whatever. I'll have to readjust all the pedals. Now get this cotter pin out. We'll be in business. That pin's pretty frozen. Let me find something for that. Let's start with a little of this. Hammer time, screwdriver. We could be all proper about it and use a punch. Let's see. All right, there's that. And that. So many pieces. Well, there it is. Here's a little hook. That's in better shape than I anticipated. Thought I might have to start welding on that. Probably want to clean that up because it's yucky. Another piece here. Looking for any other random bits. I'll bring the vacuum over and clean all that crap up, but I don't want to vacuum up any parts because they're hard to come by. Moment of glory. Clutch cable should be in here.
That's a challenge.
Is this the ticket? Let's see.
Move around on me. Maybe I'll go push it from the. Someone's left out a second person.
It's just that easy. I don't know if that back threaded rod part is going to go through the Bowden tube. I may have to straighten that out and pull it through. Alright, this is my Bowden tube here. Assuming most of you guys that are going to watch this, if you even get this far, are going to know that already, but just for completeness. Holy smokes. I did this from a different angle and it was easier before. There we go. It's just that easy. Here's my washer and nut that I've used to create the loop in the Bowden tube. Try to straighten this cable a bit so it pulls through a little nicer. Let's see what that does for us. Alright, Bowden tube is straightened out. Was coming. Dry as a bone. It's hung up in the back again. I don't know that I'm gonna move the camera around. Just so you know, you go back and forth and fight it. You tell yourself you enjoy this. Alright, so we're on the same page. Here's a Bowden tube. Faces this direction in the car, in the back. I pulled the whole thing out. See, it kind of has an angle right here. It's pretty ancient. So we're just going to replace it. And this should pull out now. Let's see if I'm lying to you. There's not a drop drop of grease on this thing. Ah. I also don't know where, now that I think about it, to even aim this when I put it back in, because I can't feel wherever this is headed. Get my fiber optics out. Having a party.
Get back to the end and then not work.
Son of a gun. Alright. Should be fun putting it back in. Alright, we've reached the midway point. Complete disassembly is where we have a glass of milk, peanut butter and honey sandwich. Ask ourselves, what have we learned? It's going to take to put this thing back together. I'm probably going to clean up some of that area some more while it's all apart. I need to get some grease. I don't like grease when it's necessary. Feed my patiently waiting dog. Come here. Come here. Come on. Get him on the camera that way. All right, I'm gonna finish this and we'll keep going. So here's all the random bits. I'm gonna clean all that crap up. And I've got a mirror and I've been looking around in there trying to figure out where the cable goes. And it's not obvious. So I've got this, which is a little fiber optic camera, Bluetooth. It goes to my phone, so I'll see if I can record that video and see what we find. So here we are moving into the tunnel with my fiber optic doodad. And you can look up in the top right of the screen. That's where the clutch cable goes. It's a tube that's got the side cut off from the factory, so the long threaded rod can lay flat, and then it just slides back. All right, here's the new clutch cable. Where I'm aiming, I cannot even feel it. So this is a bit of trial and error. I'm not going to grease this first little bit because I don't want grease on it when we're all hanging out the other end. Let go. I think that went in there. Nice. Just kind of playing it back in my brain what that fiber optic thing looked like. So now that I've got the threaded end in, I can start greasing it as we feed it. Let's do that. All right. Got grease. And then I moved my big fat head right in front of the camera for the entire time I stuffed the cable into the tube. Basically, I'm just advancing the cable about 4 or 5 inches at a time, greasing it up, stuffing it in the tube, and it went in pretty easy. Hit up against something in the back, so we'll have to go figure that out. While I'm under the car, here's the Bowden tube I took out. Here's the new one. See there, the same length. So I'm going to stick this one in there, feed it onto the cable before I put the bow in it. Otherwise, we're going to have a real issue trying to feed that through there. Alright, here's the assembly. Cleaned most of the crap off of it on the bench in the garage. Let's see. I got some wire I've had in my toolbox for, I don't know, 25 years. So I tried to wire tie, let's see, make some room here, the end of the cable to this hook so it doesn't fall off when I stick it in there. Saw this in a movie once. He didn't actually show how he did it, so we're about to make that up. Let's see. All right, we'll run with that for the moment. A big old goober of grease on this. Slide it into its forever home. Right? Maybe. I'm trying to get some of this grease off of there. Wrap that all up inside the gloves. And I greased this Zerk when it was on the bench as well. The pedals are all greased up. All right, I got that wire tied to the hook. If I keep this pedal up, that should stay put. Keeping this pedal down for the moment so I'm not fighting the spring tension. Let's just see what happens. Got my pieces that I've cleaned up. This bolts to the floor, the other end of the shaft here. That's its support. See, this one's slotted, so I can slide a bit, and the stay is where the pedals will hit. So they're even, the clutch and the brake. All right, I've been wrestling with that for a few minutes. Couldn't tell the orientation of these two plates down here because they're all covered in crap when I took them out. So when it's slotted, it orientates the pedal. It's a stop for the brake pedal. That goes on the bottom. And then it's sandwiched by this top one, which is just the support for this side of the assembly. So I'm keeping this here. If I move this, I can hear it moving the cable inside, so I think we're still attached. We're good there. Gonna have to move this lower support forward because that will stand this pedal up. I'm also going to take my pin that I've cleaned up, put that in. What you can't see, you also can't feel. There it is. Got a cotter pin on that. That's back together. Let's see. So that's together. Before I mess with the orientation of that and this, I'm gonna keep this pushed forward. I'm gonna go in the back and get it hooked up. So it doesn't fall apart and have to take all that crap apart again. Once it's secure in the back, we'll come back and dial this in. I'm just sticking a piece of wood right there, keep that clutch pedal from falling all the way forward when I go mess in the back. Here's a new Bowden tube. I put the same adjustments, and they sandwiched in between here and here. And hopefully that adjustment is what we want with the new Bowden tube as well. So we're going to bend this. Get that through there. Put a real bend on it. There we go. It feels like I'm still connected. Straighten the bend on the cable out a little bit. And we'll try to attach it to the arm up here. Bam. Bam. Alright. Holy smokes. That's an undertaking. Where's my nuts? For the sake of the video, I'm going to try to come at this from a different angle. I've got this little beveled nut here. See if we can get started. Oh, miracles never cease. Yeah. I should hold it in place now and go remove our wood up front. The rear's been buttoned down a bit, so we have good tension on here. See, this whole thing's moving around because I don't have all the bolts in yet. So right here I'm tightening down the two bolts that go through the floor pan, and they hold the stay that only affects the brake pedal. So basically you adjust the brake pedal so it's even with the clutch pedal. And I couldn't hold that little plate very well because I'm fighting against the spring tension on the brake pedal itself. So once I had it in place, I'm using a finger to hold it in place, and then I cinched it down with the impact because I needed a third hand basically. All right. Whew. Gas pedal is hooked up, brakes are hooked up, clutch is hooked up. Clutch free play we have to adjust. Free play. You go right against the firewall. You look at where the pedal hits. We're at about 7 3/4 from my perspective. It's going all the way to 4 1/2. You want it to go, if it's 7 3/4, to about 7. About there. Before you hit resistance. 1/2 to 3/4 inch. And you can probably eyeball it, but we'll measure it for the sake of video. So how you do that, go to the back, tighten that nut up a bit, come back and measure again. Still too loose, tighten it up. So let's do that. So I've tightened it quite a bit. So we'll see, we're about 7 3/4 to 6 1/2. So we're getting there. That feels pretty good. I'm gonna call it good. And that feels way better. That feels like a regular clutch. It'll free play, resistance, and towards the end, I think it gets easier when the springs and the pressure plate kind of go, ooh, and they give in. That's exactly what it should feel like. Well, got the tire back on, buttoned up, cleaned up a little bit, still driver status. See, that looks a little better than it did this morning. Cleaned up, put the seat in, let's go check it for a ride. All right, let's try this thing. No grinding. What? All right, let's go try. Shouldn't run over anything in my driveway. It's not very much visibility out of an oval. There's my gate. Chattering. Total stop for synchro first. Falls right in. No grinding. chattering. No insurance. No registration. First things first. Woo! There we go. I think this thing works. I'm gonna call this a win. Stretch clutch cable. Thumbs up from the neighbors. There you go. Going first. We have a winner. So clutch cable's figured out. Here's the old one. When's the last time Volkswagen proper made a clutch cable? Is this thing original? I don't know. Back to the 70s or 80s anyway, maybe. It was time.